What have you? We have some Q&A to do. I hope you're doing fine, 'cause it's Q&A time again. Hello world, how's it going? Hope you guys are all doing great. If not, as always, I hope it gets better for you. So welcome to another Friday Night Live Q&A, where we help each other out with anything that has to do with freshwater aquariums, whether it be shrimp, plants, or water, whatever. Anything that has to do with freshwater aquariums. So, man, it's been a long week for me. And today was super long. Actually, just got back from Fort Myers checking out the new place. The property was really cool. And I can't wait to share it with you guys. I just have to get it all solidified before I share it with you guys. So can't wait to do that. Will be interesting though, because the water is actually, I took a TDS meter out there because I mean, you gotta know the water. But it was like 1100 TDS. But it's a little different in Florida because they have acidic water too. So it's like there's a lot of mineralization in the water, but it's still kind of softer, but it's hard. It's like hard but acidic. It's kind of weird. So it should be interesting doing that. And Wichita Falls Fish Keeper, glad to hear that you received your shrimp today and they look great. Thank you so much for your order and your support. And hello everybody here in the chat. Glad to see you all in here. And I'm just I was literally about to fall asleep on the couch and woke up to jump up on here, because I want to hang out with you guys like I could do on Friday nights. But I had to go get Wesley after flying back from Fort Myers today, and it's kind of beat. Tracy Brunson says, how often do you use plant fertilizer in your aquarium? So since I'm not really changing the water much, I don't fert that much. So I'll probably do my potassium once every 3 days. And then I'll do another potassium. So I'll do potassium 3 days. Wait another 3 days, do potassium. And then I may wait another 2-3 days to do iron. And that's about it. And this is mostly because I have a lot of iron in my water already. So my tanks have collected a lot of trace minerals and iron. So I try to go with more of the potassium and the nitrates. Potassium nitrates and potassium sulfates, because it's totally EI. You're estimating it all. So once you know your water, like, do you have more of this in there? Do you have more of that in there? Just knowing your surroundings too, like what goes on in your local waters and where your water source actually comes from your locale, will help you kind of determine that EI method. But I don't use root tabs or anything. But honestly, I mean, there's a lot of stem plants that demand it. It's not absolutely necessary for a lot of plants, just usually the harder stems. And they just like to eat more mineralization because they're faster growers. And I think they do pick up the trace elements more, like the Rotalias, the Luigias. But sand is really one of the biggest tricks when it comes to keeping plants. Hobbs 1911, are the totes trash cans for water changes that have wheels that can take the weight? I'd like to be able to roll it around. Yes. So here, I actually got one next to me. Let me flip you around. So that's how I exchange my water out. So I'll get a hose, I'll siphon it into here. And then all it is simple board, like this simple board with casters. I put this on here so it can't fall off, slide off one way or the other, because you don't want to accidentally knock that over. That'd be a big old mess. But the casters don't really need to be that strong. You can see they're probably like 1.5 inch wheels, so not real big. Don't have to like go overboard. And usually when you buy those wheels, they'll have a weight rating on them. Canadian Aquatics says shrimp will love that water. Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing there's so many fish and fish farms down there that, I mean, the fish have to be able to like it. I'm sure it's actually probably better for them, because what happens is when you have acidic water that has a high mineral content in it, it just makes it better for the exchange through the plants and the fish. So, I mean, everything should really like it. We'll see though, it should be interesting. It'll be different water for me, because I thought 3,400 TDS was hard, but 1,100, it's crazy. But somebody else was telling me, I should remember their name, but they're Greek, they're on an island, they had 1,100 TDS too. So it's kind of the same situation. I don't know if the salinity's kind of mixing in with the groundwater, or how that really works down there in southern Florida. Plus they have that limestone, the acidity from that. Father Fish, glad to see you in here. Says, how is Florida looking? Florida is always looking awesome. And I'm so ready to escape here, because it's been in the single digits, even negative with the wind chill here in Indianapolis. And man, if my electricity were to go out in a time like this, it would just be god awful. So I don't ever want to risk my fish like that. So Florida is always looking good. Well, Carol, thank you for lurking, and glad you can learn a lot. Congrats, Lisa Sparkman, on you and your granddaughter's blue dreams having their buried females. That's awesome. Glad to hear it. And Michigan Tropicals, thank you so much, bro, for the $5 super chat. Appreciate that. Says, can't wait to dip in that pool, bro. Right? You're gonna have to come down, dip in a pool, dip in a pond. Shoot, maybe one of these years we'll get the lazy river done. It'll be a full-on setup. But it's cool that the pond that he had, I actually got to meet the homeowner, and he got to tell me more about the property. He actually collects a bunch of palm trees, like rare palm trees. So he's like a collector, kind of like I am with fish, but he's more into like palm trees. He does landscaping. But the fish, he feeds them up there, so they'll all come up to you, like the tilapia and the peacock bass and stuff. Really, really cool property. But yeah, I can't wait to get it going. We're trying to work on a big deal right now. I can't really talk about it too much, but hopefully that goes through and everything kind of goes smooth here. And then I will offer it to you guys if this deal doesn't go through. Jupiter one, as far as this house, this fish room. If not, I'll take it with me. Because, shoot, I could take these tanks and probably just stick them outside and keep my fish that way if I don't have enough room for certain tanks. What will happen if all the fishy people end up in Florida? I don't know. I don't think that'll ever happen, because people are all so different. Oh, so different. Not everybody can stand the heat. It does get hot down there. I love the heat. I'm like a lizard to a hot rock, so it just makes sense to me. Whatever happened to the red split tail endlers? I still have them. I have them. They're on the site. I just don't know if I got a picture for them. I think they're under albino split tails. Yeah, that's the red split tail. Let me get one. Alright, you're gonna have to do a video of you tubing down the Ichitutani? I don't know if I said that right. I'm sure I didn't, but I would love to go do some videos of all kinds of tubing. Just getting in the creeks around there would be really cool. Josh Santos says, Lucas, can you share how you're going to move all your tanks when you do move? So, in a perfect world, or what I'm trying to do is not move any of the tanks really, and just start fresh, start anew. And I want to build like, we're leaning between like a barn dominium, or do I actually see, I have a degree in design and I also know construction. So I'm kind of leaning towards trying to make like a super house, something that's like more conformed to the locality, and it just blends in more with design, like probably do more stone, concrete, and glass kind of setup. That way it like glow at night. I got a few ideas to put into it. But I do want to redo either, I mean, I don't want to just call it a fish room. It'll be like a fish house. Have not seen my favorite rainbow tank in a while. Yeah, the one inside. The problem with that is the internet. I do have the new phone, so actually next Friday we should probably go ahead and try to do that and see how that works. Last time we did it, the internet was god awful. Couldn't even do the live stream. So I've just been coming in here because it's always working, and it's supposed to go for what's tried and true. Danny Ken Aquatics, glad to see you around, brother. Says, thanks, Lucas, for the plants. You're welcome, bro. There was plants in there? Oh, I wonder. Okay, awesome. Sarah did throw the plants in there. I threw a couple other things in there, too. We were like, there's some room in the box for you. Figure we'd hook you up. But glad I could finally get that to you guys. And thank you, Danny, for letting me borrow that jacket. That was awesome. What's up, dude? What part of Florida are you coming to? I'm in Miami, so we have the offer accepted in a house in North Fort Myers. Hey, brother, so I'm a rainbow guy, says DJ Snow. Says, those are my favorite fish. Have many other fish as well. What is your best setup for breeding your rainbows? I put plants and mops. I mean, plants and mops is a great way to do it for sure. Probably one of the best ways to do it. That and or algae, really. But you want to, trios work good, or a group, depending on the tank size, of 6 or so. But if you're only in like a 20 gallon, I'd only do like a trio. If you're in like a 40 gallon, I'd breed them more as a group of like 6. And when I say trio, that's 1 male, 2 females. Because if you do 2 males and 1 female, it can get ugly. Luca Brazzi says, 2 new polka dot PIM cats and heavy Plenum 65 community doing good, but what to hide should I get more? But want to hide. Yeah, honestly, if you get more of those kind of cats, the more there are, the better they feel, because their instincts with just being in a herd gives them that comfortability to venture out and move around and kind of show a lot more behavior. They're kind of like my Synodontis lucipennis that I have that are, I mean, I got them in a 75 gallon and there's probably like 30 or 40 plus in there. It's crazy. They all swarm like sharks. It's awesome. And maybe try like some tetras or some danios or something for a dither fish as well. That can also help. If you want something like that. I actually got just a couple guppies in there. Because I figure, oh, if nothing's eating these small fish, then they feel safe. Backyard Bear says, y'all mark the time and date. He says he loves the heat, and then see how he cries when he comes to understand humidity. Yeah, well, my skin could use that humidity. My skin gets so dried out. And I lived in Tennessee for a while. I've dealt with hundreds of degrees, but that humidity, I'm sure, I don't know, it should be interesting in Florida during the summer. So I don't know if I've really experienced that before. But worst comes to worst, I'll just hop into the pool. Like the house isn't very big, but the property is amazing. Like we're kind of overpaying it just for the property. And the pool. Rainbow River is a great area in Florida for tubing. There's also a few springs and caves. Nice to know. Yeah, there seems like, I don't think there'll ever be a lack of anything to do down there, that's for sure. Chris Trapp says, hi Lucas, have you purchased tropical granules lately? I ordered some from Petco and they changed the recipe to more of a brown color. Oh God, no, I hope they didn't. Because really that color that is in the tetracolor tropical granules is what really gets them to strike it. What gets the most finicky fish to eat that stuff. It's all in that coloration. So really, that's kind of like the Fluval bug bites, sort of almost. It's not the same, but it's different with the color. Oh, I hope that's not the case. Let's see. Man, it was crazy because I had like all this stuff to tell you guys, but then I literally about fell asleep on the couch, and then like it all just kind of, I feel like I'm just waking up right now. But I appreciate you all. Thank you all for joining me. Dane Hritz says, I've got a spot with wild crips to show you once you're down here on the Gulf Coast and we can catch killies. Well, that sounds like fun. Love crips and killies. Scroll. Debbie Russell says, and sorry if I miss any of your guys' questions too. Says, how do you grow healthy compact moss? Mine gets long and spindly. So lower light, if you put the higher light on it, it'll try to stretch up and stretch out. Then you'll deal with algae and all kinds of stuff. But really low, moderate light. So usually if I'm trying to grow an algae, I like to grow a floater, or not algae, but a moss, which kind of grow the same. I try to grow a floater on top of it. That way it kind of dissipates the light before it just nails the moss. That doesn't grow very fast. Now when you do start getting massive bioloads of moss, then it can handle the higher light more, but not until then. Unless you're like cranking CO2 on it and stuff. Whoa, what's this? Ron Foss Fish Housekeeper, quite the name, says, we just finished a 25,000 gallon, 7 deep pond in November in Minnesota, stocked with koi and comets, and looking forward to more stock plants and snorkeling in the spring. Well, that sounds pretty awesome, Ron Foss. Hernan says Fort Myers very calm. Yeah, it seemed pretty chill. Like, and people really seem really nice down there. From the ones that I met, we actually went to like a local bar, got a grouper sandwich and stuff, just kind of hung out, which we rarely, if ever, like I don't even know the last time I went to a bar that wasn't at a fish convention. We rarely ever get that chance, Sarah and I. And the vibe was like totally cool. Like the locals were really, really cool. Josh Santos, like they were very inviting. Josh Santos says, can we get a close-up of them barbs behind them? Yes, yes. And matter of fact, we should feed them because all these fish have not eaten for quite some time. And Danny Ken Aquatics, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Says, LOL, I'm not tubbing anywhere there is alligators, LOL, just saying LOL, but those collecting spots down there, so when I come, you know where to go. Yes, hopefully the locals show me all the cool spots. Should be some, I mean, down in South Florida, you never know what you're going to catch down there. So that should be amazing, and I hope you do get to visit me. Man, my hair is crazy, but who cares? Because we're here for the fish, and let's feed these guys, because nobody has eaten, and I've been ready to feed them. I hate to feed them before the live stream, because I know you guys like to watch them eat. Francois Craig says, hi Lucas, have you heard anything about Vietnamese Neo variants? Seen some very different colors and patterns here. I mean, definitely possible for sure. I've been telling people this for a long time about mixing shrimp and the colors and what all you could get. Like, we have barely scratched the surface. Everybody was saying that you shouldn't do it because you'll end up with brown shrimp and all this other jazz. Wow, that was a lot of food in just that little bit. I still got like half of it in my hand. Barely even pinched it. Only time with that tetratropical granules, sometimes it gets dusty. But yeah, there's so many new Neo shrimp that could be made and created. And I've created like a red, blue, and white. We got yellow rillies, green rillies. Like shrimp you won't see anywhere. Alright, scrolling. The only problem with trying to feed these guys too is Reading questions because I get totally distracted by these fish. Hey, Squeakers, how's it going? It's really cold, so we were letting her stay in for the day. Or, well, days. Until it warms back up, huh? She's normally an outside cat, but it is way too cold out there. Scrolling. Let me scroll back because I think I missed somebody's super chat. And I don't want to do that because that would just be rude. And I'm not trying to be rude, dude. Maybe I didn't. Yeah. Oh, no, there it is. Kevin's Canines and Aquatics. Thank you, Kevin's Canine and Aquatics, for the $2 super chat. Says, see you Sunday, going to listen to Gary Lang in 30 minutes. Ooh, aren't you lucky? I wonder where you're at. And you get to go listen to Gary Lang, the rainbow fish guy. But yes, I will be on Kevin's Canines and Aquatics here on Sunday to do a stream with him. So if you guys want to check that out, you can check out his channel. I know many of you guys have been asking me for live streams, live hangouts for quite some time too. And I will get to you guys, but he just happened to have it set on a date that I had time and worked out. Fish Tropic says, you've been tired, sleeping a lot, Lucas. No, I haven't been sleeping hardly enough at all. Just been running and trying to get things done around here to make big things happen. And once again, sorry if I'm missing your guys' questions. It says, I have heard that the red color is bad for shrimp. Is that true? What red color? Of the granules? No, definitely not. I've never had any issues with it. And that's all I've used. Can only get Tetra food that are like Fruity Pebbles cereal, no granules. Oh yeah, the flakes, those don't quite do it the same. Chewy, I don't know where you're at, Susan, but if you go to Chewy actually has it pretty cheap here in the States. Chris Trapp says, being hot is much better than being cold, in my opinion. Same. Dude, if electricity didn't exist, I don't know if I could even live up here. Some dude said, hey Lucas, I watched an old video of yours of Praecox and P. Gertrude. I used that as an example to show that I could put M. salolensis with Gertrude. They're all getting along great in my 40 breeder. I'm not sure which M. salolensis is. But yeah, they can get along, the Gertrudes and Melanotania types, for sure. Oh, I would like to see a picture of that one. I haven't heard of that one. Scrolling. Oh, I got way backwards. Way backwards. So this is going to be a deep scroll. Michigan Tropicals, thank you so much again for the super chat, for the $5 super chat. It says, how's your hand healing up? It's actually healing up pretty good. Been using it a lot. Been putting weight on it and not babying it. And still not able, I'm not trying to lift anything like too crazy heavy. But it's manageable for sure. But thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Antonio Ortega says, have you ever had multicolor Rilly shrimp? Yes, I have. Like I mentioned, I've had the blue, red, and white. And I actually had, oh man, it was the saddest thing. So I had these blue, red, and black shrimp tricolors. They were like the first tricolors I ever seen. This is when I won the first international contest and won a couple awards from that. And I brought my black rose to it, and then I like killed off the colony. But I had like 30 or 40 of these black, blue, and red Neocaridina shrimp that were tricolors. Like that line was about to just be solid working, great to go, and then bam. That's why now whenever I go to those conventions and stuff, I make sure I don't bring anything back. What plant is in your thumbnail? So that is a Brazilian pennywort. It is creeping and crawling out of that tank. It's massive. All the way down to the bottom. Hydrocotyl. Let's see. Aquatics says, I found the most amazing seafood place close to the house. Next time you come, they have lobster, crabs, scallops, mussels, and clams on the same platter. It was awesome. Man, that sounds tasty. Sounds real tasty. Like, I was so looking forward to an awesome seafood dinner. But as some of you guys may know, traveling through the airport right now is absolutely disgraceful. And we were delayed 5 hours. So we didn't get there till late. So by the time we even got there, I wasn't even that hungry. What are your opinions on Rapashii? I remember when Rapashii first came out, I actually was one of their very first testers from planedtank.net. They picked up a few testers on that. And I wasn't a big fan of it at the time because you had to like do all this to even get your fish food, and it smelled awful. It really wasn't that great. But they have come leaps and bounds, and there's a lot of people who really swear by it. I personally don't use it, but I hear a lot of people who swear by it now and just love it for their fish. Alan Davenport said he can't find granules where he's at either. Weird. Backyard Bear says same. I haven't ordered them for a long time because I ordered like 100 containers like a year ago or something. I'm still working through them because they were on sale. I was like, swoop, I'll buy it a forever's worth. Is there a good way to counter Fluval Stratum's buffering to keep water good for Neocaridina shrimp? Yeah, you can put in, I don't know if it's a buffering or a leaching that goes on with that stuff. Because you gotta think, shrimp graze as well. They're constantly picking and grazing. And what they're grazing on plays a big role. Like my Indiana clay dirt, they absolutely love it. Same with the monos. Like my shrimp love that natural clay kind of dirt. Maybe for laterite or something in it, I don't know. But with the stratum, supposedly it makes it more acidic, but you can counter acidity with more hardness, which you can get GH boosters, crushed up coral to mix in. I don't know if you're running a filter, you could put it in like a media bag, put that in your filter. That way when it goes through, that can help with your hardness. That way you don't have to have it like mixed, because that crushed coral or argonite is a different color. You may not want that coloration. But GH booster, I get mine from Nilo CG. It's like $8 a pound. Pretty cheap. Works great. Goes a long way. Jason Wilson says, hey bro, can you tell me a little bit about the Nuri Rosa Maiden? I ordered one this week from you. Can't wait to see it. So yes, it's actually pretty easy to keep. Doesn't really mind if it's soft or hard water. Best thing to do is never let its roots get cold. When you do a water change, like if you get a cold water change and it gets to the roots, it can melt off your crypts. Ever since I've learned this, I have never melted a crypt since. And they love sand, absolutely love sand. I've got a crypt that has a spathe flower in a 40-gallon right now, like yay big. I wanted to take a picture of it, but I don't know where to post it and stuff. And I mean, I know I could post it all over the place, but I don't know. I wish I could take you guys in there and show it to you. Afshin Agahi says, love your work, man. In your opinion, what's the most cost-effective way to keep your aquariums heated? So if you got a lot of aquariums, definitely heat in the room. So this room is a really good example as a cheap, inefficient way to do it. Because, let me flip you guys over. So we got this big tank here, no heater, no heater. Now if this tank had water in it, I may put a heater in it. I don't think these have heaters. This one has a heater. This one has a heater. And this one has a heater because it's like right close to the door where you're going to get a little draft and everything. And then I think this one has a heater too. And then I've got a space heater. So these don't have heaters. This one probably should, but I just keep shrimp in there. Like colder water kind of fish towards this side that can tolerate colder water. And then I use a space heater. So with the space heater, it keeps it warm in here. Helps keep the concrete warm too. But so does these. These end up acting like a radiator heater as well. So the concrete's actually pretty warm in here, considering it's probably single digits right now where we're at. And it's been in the negatives. So really, I just warm up a few tanks. And if you're in a real cold spot too, it doesn't hurt to put insulation on the bottom of your tanks, of the rack. Now, I haven't done that, so I mean, it's not absolutely necessary. But it does help. Because, I mean, if you're conserving heat, you're conserving energy, which is conserving cost. And once again, sorry if I'm missing anybody's questions. Okay, I am at the back spot. So, are you and Wesley going to start surfing now at LRB Aquatics? Never like to say you're too old for something. I may try. Actually, I think I'll be alright at surfing. I got a neighbor who tells me all about it. He actually grew up in California and lived in Hawaii and stuff. So just listening to him talk, I feel like I could probably nail it. But that's not, you guys know where my passion is. I'm not going to become some surfer overnight. I'm going to be in my property playing with fish, trying to grow and breed fish. I do want a boat though, for sure. Because, I mean, that kind of goes with fish. Neo's in my 5-gallon with deep stratum. It doesn't deplete GH, just KH, which lowers pH. So it's your KH. So, Stephen P., thank you for sharing. And as far as KH, you can get KH GH boosters. I know Nilo CG has a GH KH booster. I've never actually used it though because my water has crazy KH. That's mostly what my hardness in my water is the bicarbonates. And holy moly, Afshin Agai. I hope I said that right because wow, you are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for that huge $50 super chat. It says, you're a G. Thanks for sharing the wealth of knowledge. Well, brother, thank you for sharing your wealth with me and helping me out as well. And that's why I do it. I love to help people, and I love it when you guys show the appreciation for it too, and I love it when it just comes full circle as a connection of the whole hobby to help everybody out. So, I mean, I could never thank you enough for that, and I'm glad I brought you some value, brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But yeah, that's pretty awesome and very helpful. You can take short videos of flowers for YouTube shorts. Actually, Sarah, we're hopefully, like, the property has a bunch of areas for irrigation. Since he is a landscaper, he irrigated a couple zones out, all on timers and stuff. So we'll probably end up connecting her channel and my channel together and kind of play it that way. That way you guys can get like an outside of water and inside of water, Mother Nature, whole dealio, full circle. T510 says, do you use any ferts for your plants? So I do use ferts for my plants, and if you Google or even YouTube search, type in LRB fish food or LRB plant food, and it will show up and it'll tell you a bit of my fert schedule and how I go about it. I do probably need to do a more update one because it kind of has changed as far as like since I started doing less water changes. That method that I was teaching, which was the same method, it's the EI method, but since I was doing more water changes then, it was just more frequently that I would dose my ferts. That's actually the only difference between that video and what I would change in the next video. But I feel like I have to make that video, that way the information is there and it's not as confusing. because not everybody is going to stay on a water change schedule. As much as we all like to wish and think that we will, and some do, some are great at discipline, but it just doesn't always work that way. So there is variables to it. Carol Braswell, thank you so much for that $5 super chat. Says it's 15 degrees here in Hamilton, Ohio. My goal is to move to Florida too. Well, I don't blame you, Carol. Maybe we'll just start a fish compound down there. And that would be cool. We'll just take over the world. Aha. Pinky in the brain. Jeffrey Owen says, with the move, are you going to be having any sales on the site? So right now, with the deal I'm trying to work on, I'm trying not to push too much as far as what's in the fish room out, because if I do offer this to somebody, I want them to succeed, so I'm going to want them to have stock. Now, saying this as well, this fish room's more set up for a collector and a breeder than somebody who actually is trying to push sales and money and product and stuff. So we'll just do things as normal. I mean, every day's kind of a sale anyways, and prices are cheap. And I'm not even charging for heat packs right now, which you're getting a 110-hour heat pack for free. And yeah, I'm not gonna push sales because I want there to be stock and stuff for if somebody gets it. I really hope I don't have to tear this down, because like, I don't know, it took a lot of time to build this. It'd be a shame to tear down and not hand over to somebody. I mean, shoot, whoever gets this house is instantly gonna get recognition for it too. Flippin' Fish, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Love the raccoon picture. It says pH 8.5, KH 250, GH 20. Where do I start to get water okay? So that sounds close to my water. And that water is really not that bad. Best thing to do is not fight it. Let it mature. Now, the more you do water changes, the thing with that KH, it really does stick to like your substrate and stuff. It settles down into the bottom. So you will get calcium and mineralization buildup. Luckily, I've got an RO system, so I actually balance that out with my RO, so I don't get that mineral buildup anymore. And it's really about the only way to go around it. It's really about the only way to go around it. But really, that water is okay for most fish, besides the ones that, like rams, that really need soft water. Like bettas, tetras, many of those rainbow fish, swordtails, guppies, they all like that. They'll do alright in that water too. Cichlids. But when it really comes to water, I think what we miss out isn't always so much like what pH it is, what GH it is, what KH is it. It's the maturity of the water. How cycled is that water? Sometimes it's even the gassing. We could end up going straight in with high gases. So you get tons of hydrogen or nitrogen or whatever gases going on in that water. That can also cause that high pH reading and throw things off. But that sometimes can be a problem too if you're like using a well or something. So the best thing to do in that situation is to put it in a container or a tank, or maybe get a cistern or something that you can let it degas itself overnight. And it's cool, like now that I've like been down this rabbit hole so much, it's nice to know like more of the variables. And with you guys, like if it wasn't for you guys, I probably wouldn't think of these variables as much, as far as the difference between like getting it from a well, getting it from a city water, or getting it from somewhere close to the coast, or somewhere in the middle of the Rust Belt. Like they're all going to have different property because of the environment that's around it. But really, when it comes down to it, just make sure that water's mature, the tank's mature, it gets cycled, and that's the biggest key. Can I put more than one betta in a 55 gallon? Honestly, I wouldn't put a betta in a 55 gallon. Like, it'll do alright, and it'll live alright, but it's got to exercise like crazy to get around. And yeah, there's a reason why they keep them in smaller tanks, is because with all those fins, they kind of need it more slower going. But you can put more than one betta in a 55 gallon. They're not like crazy vicious, like, oh, they're the Siamese algae eater, they're just gonna go crazy and eat each other. Now, maybe if you put two in a 10-gallon tank, they're probably gonna nip on each other, they're gonna battle and stuff. But a 55 gallon, they're gonna have enough room to get away from each other. And it helps if you're gonna try to do that too, if you got something else to take their mind off of the other betta. As in a dither fish, maybe mature it with colonies of shrimp. Rock piles and a shrimp colony with bettas, like, they don't get more natural for them. Alec the Nice says, what do you think of the PPI Pro fertilization method? It's actually been a while since I studied up on that. I couldn't even tell you what the PPI even stands for at this point. Just because I go with the EI, it's what works for me, always has. I do know some people who use that method, and on NiloCG, he actually explains all those methods on his page. That's another good thing about NiloCG's page, is he does have explanation for that. But in my opinion, EI method works the best because not all tanks are the same. Not all biomasses are the same. Like, you can have huge biomass of one plant in one tank and it feed completely different than another plant in another tank, just from it being a different plant. And if you got multiple plants in there doing the same thing, they feed differently. So in my opinion, EI is the best to go. It just takes some kind of thinking about what you're doing to really fine tune that estimated index, which is what EI stands for. Dennis Christensen says, in one of my tanks, the Brazilian moneywort is flowering. Is this unusual? So no, not at all. Especially if above ground. Underground normally does not. I don't see any in here flowering, but you can see up on top of here, there's flowers galore. So you could actually collect seeds from these. Yeah, it's not focusing well. After a while, you can collect seeds on here. Focus. Oh yeah, there's a good focus. I don't know if that's actually the pollen. That's probably pollen or seeds. But yeah, they do flower. Boing. I want a 500 gallon with a Mabu puffer, says Chris Kerr. I wish I had a 500 gallon. What other hobby do you have? Oh, it says Omar Alvarez. Oh man, I've been through them all. I mean, I used to play sports a lot growing up. Shot archery a long time. I like to go shoot guns. It's been a while since I've done that though. And just build stuff. I love to build stuff. I used to like to fish a lot too. I haven't really done that. I'm not as much that big into fishing because I hook and fish in the mouth and stuff, but I don't know. There's some seafood I like a lot that I may go fishing for. But building, I think, like, that's one thing I was coming to realize. Like, I love the fish too, but when it was getting to the point, like, the pond's about done, fish room's pretty much done, and I'm like, what am I going to build next? Like, what is going to drive me next? And that's kind of been driving this push to move as well. Gaming too. Huge gamer. Like, to the point, like, I shouldn't play games. I can't play games because I get too addicted to them. As a matter of fact, I just got off a game. And I had, like, the number 5 account on the whole freaking game. Like, I went crazy on it. And some dude, I did see your previous message about the Gertruda, and I did end up saying something about it, but I was glad that I could help you on that. And yeah, they can't get along. Chris Kerr says, do you have any tricks to get a lily bulb to sprout? Best thing to do is float it. Float it and let it sit in a corner or something, because it's going to float it over into a corner. Just let it float around, it'll start sprouting. Or just wedge it in between a couple rocks or something. Not like wedge, but just gently place it there so it won't move. Definitely don't want to. I mean, I think you may be able to bury them. In my opinion, it's better to just get it started off the top of the water. A lot of plants, I would recommend that. Scrolling here. Fishy says, at LRB, I am also starting with RO water. Do you add alkaline buffer to modify KH? I'm having trouble increasing KH while keeping my pH lower. So I try not to worry about pH much, but you do need KH, some KH for fish. Now, if you're doing Caridina shrimp, you don't want KH, but anything else, you do want KH. And they do have alkaline buffers with GH and KH in them that you can get, and that's how you would do it. And you want to get like a mineral, like an actual mineral, instead of getting like a liquid. Because if you're just buying the liquid, you're getting hosed on the pricing. You're paying mostly for water. Bob Purcell, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Appreciate that, Bob. Thank you. With the luggage bag. Oh, you're alright, some dude. It happens. I know all about losing connection. Ask the people who've been on here forever. Richard Reynolds, LRB Homestead and Aquatics. Yes, exactly. Gotta start eating better. Start eating stuff grown by the sun. Because literally, like, we got light in us. And really what you eat is a big part of you, and things that soak up more of those protons and things. It all goes into a cycle. I mean, that's why we're able to see when we dream and stuff, even when it's dark. Look into science if you don't believe me, too. Mike Vang says, sup, Lucas, any new or rare antler? And that's another thing, too. As far as my hobby, one of my all-time hobbies, besides even building stuff, is self-learning. I've always just been that way. I like to go down every rabbit hole I can find. But Mike Vang says, sup, Lucas, any new or rare antler strains out there that you've come across? So I haven't really been actively looking, but I have seen, and there always is new ones coming out and just cool stuff. Matter of fact, I've been hoarding a couple of my own that I've been breeding, which I got a video, another TOT, that'll probably come out on Wednesday about a newer strain. Some people have it from the Aquashello convention that I brought it to. And I may have shown it before. Then I've got like these Tiger Purple Moscow Endlers, which are kind of cool too, that I haven't really shown off. Timbo, taking it easy, says, did my super chat go through on your side? Really wanting those Synodontis lucipinis. I did not see a super chat. But as far as Synodontis lucipinis, oh, it did. So sorry, brother. I totally missed it. But thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Timbo taking it easy says, "Hey brother, congrats on the new house. Wish all the best for the LRB fam." Thank you. Says you should let me buy some of those Cenedonis lucipennis from you before you go. I mean, I should. The trick is shipping them because they can poke through my breather bags. So I don't know. I've got to figure that out. And now I feel obligated because you super chatted me. But and I do have some to get through. So who knows? If I tell you what, if this deal that I'm working on goes through, the people that I'll be selling it to, they'll be able to ship those Cenedonis to you, more than likely. So give me like a couple weeks here. Ask me in a couple weeks. Send us an email, and we'll see what we can do, which will be at lrbaquatics.orders@gmail.com. But thank you again, Timbo. Scroll. Backyard Bear says, "Let me know when you guys get established. I will trade you some plants and fruit trees to get you started for some of Lucas's stock." Ooh, that sounds awesome, Backyard Bear. Thank you. Or Aquatic Bear. Any experience with rainbow shark? Yes, I do like the rainbow sharks. They can sometimes be a little aggressive. They're better off in bigger tanks, definitely not in smaller tanks. And when I mean bigger tank, like a 55 or above. Because they do get pretty big. They're great at getting rid of snails if you got a snail problem. But yeah, I like them. And they can go with even big fish too. Man, I got way up on the other scroll there. So I'm going to pop all the way down towards the bottom because we are getting close to the end here. Hey, did you see any big lizards on your new property? We grow them big down here. LOL. So I did not. I did see a little lizard, but the guy does have dogs, so I could imagine that the dog keeps them away fairly well. So we'll probably have to get a dog too, just for that purpose. Keep birds and stuff out of the fish areas and whatnot. DK Law says, "What are your thoughts on using a plenum?" So the plenum thing, in my opinion, is a little bit much. And I see a lot of people have been kind of like feeding into the whole Dr. Novak thing, which is okay. I mean, he's a scientist. He's breaking things down. He's learning himself as well. But he's really sold on his system, and he likes to sell his system. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like having a fluidized bed and that kind of stuff. It all kind of makes sense. But is it really necessary? No. Does it really make a difference? I don't think so. Which I can prove that in my fish room super fast. Resins Reptiles, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Appreciate that. Resins says, play sand from Home Depot is good for aquarium plants. Love your channel, LRB. Well, thank you. And yes, sand, period. Sand goes a long way. You're having problems with plants, try doing them in sand. I could not express that enough. You go out in the wild, that's what they're growing with. Anything. And it loves to grow in sand. Especially wet sand. Dry sand, not so much. Let's see. Thanks again for the Bulbitis Hudilati I got from Aquashella, Chicago. It's grown well. Glad to hear it. You're very welcome, Michigan Tropicals. Love Bulbitis. Nicholas Kennedy says, "Are you getting rid of everything and starting completely over?" So that would be what I would like to do. Just because it would save me from having to move all this stuff, and I could just build back. And I always said that this was going to be my practice fish room. Like for those who have been watching me for a long time. I mean, I may not said it a ton of times, but I've said many times that this is my practice fish room. And now that I've fine-tuned everything, I would like to have a bigger space. Because if I can manage this by myself, oh man, I need more. More for more collection. So yeah, I would like to start over. Like, I'm going to use the same systems as I got going on here, so that won't really change. Where are you going? To North Fort Myers, Florida, Southwest Florida. What kind of root tabs would you use with sand? None. Don't use them. I mean, you can if you want, but it's not necessary. South Pacific, I mean, if you like to throw that money, throw that money. South Pacific says, how can you prove that if you don't even know your nitrate levels? Dude, I dose nitrates into my tanks. So, I mean, what's it matter? Nitrates are in water. It's in the system. It's part of it. Plants eat up that nitrates. Matter of fact, I even got I got tons of fish in tanks without even substrate and or plants. Well, thank you, Timbo. I appreciate that. Lisa Sparkman says, wouldn't you keep your prize-winning shrimp? Yes, I would definitely take. So, like, the barbs are going with me. My catfish are going with me. My big Synodontis lucipennis. Okay, so when I say everything, I'm thinking, like, more tanks and equipment. So I will take some of my shrimp with me as well. I'm not just going to work on all those lines and just give them away. Like, I will give them away, but I'm going to keep some for myself as well. And like, since I'm a collector, like, I'm gonna keep my collector fish. But it'll give me space to kind of like freshen up my web page, offer you guys different stuff. Because I mean, I've kind of had the same fish for a while now. And just no room to put new fish. Leo209 Aquatics, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Leo says, what you think of the Aquatop 5-gallon Pisces tank, bullet or the taller one, and what stocking and plants would you recommend? I don't even know what that tank is, my brother. I'm so sorry. But being a 5-gallon, there's a lot of ways you can stock that. You could either just go with shrimp, or you can try like a betta and some shrimp, or just a betta, or some guppies, or some endlers, or some tetras, or some pygmy cories, or a few tetras and pygmy cories. Little baddest would be cool. Even celestial pearl danios would be cool. As far as plants, I mean, you can mix and match whatever as long as you can aquascape it. When I'm talking about aquascaping it, that's like trim it up and make sure that this plant stays in this spot and this plant stays in that spot, or you just want to grow one big plant. Just try to stay away from like hygrophilias, Luigias. Well, I wouldn't say Luigias. Some Luigias can stay small. Rotalias tend to stay small. But hygrophilias and Luigias can get bigger, especially the hygrophilias where they're like more bigger, bushier. Like, you're definitely not going to want an Amazon sword or any kind of sword in that kind of tank. You want more like a moss or like fine stem plants. Like Bacopa or something wouldn't be bad either. More the Monnieri, than the Yellow Flame. But thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate that. Mike Vang says, what's the 1 or 2 main things, if any, you will change in your new fish room? The only thing that will get changed in my new fish room, well, I guess there is 2 things. So 1, everything will be centralized. Will be big for me, because I mean, I've got to go in so many different rooms to mess around. And 2, most every tank will have sand in it. Like, I won't be using Eco Complete so much. I'll still use Eco Complete. So if I want like that black background, black layer, get that color contrast to my fish like this, is I'll just put sand on the bottom and then I'll cap it with this. Besides that, that'll be the only difference, and just the fish that'll go in there, because I mean I'll be switching stuff up. But as far as like the system, how I do everything, I absolutely love the way that I'm doing everything. It makes everything so much easier. And with my new water pump change system, which I'll be showing you guys, it helps so much with my maintenance as well. But I still got to make the video on that. Will dwarf petricola catfish be okay with cories? It depends on the cory and how old that cory is. So if it's like one of the bigger cory cats, it should be fine. Smaller cory cats, like they're competing in the same territory of the tank. Petricolas aren't really feisty, and mine do community breed. So they're not always apt to eat other fish. But it is a gamble, say with like if you had big dwarf petricola, because they can still get decent size in like pygmies or something. There might be something there, but I don't think it would be much. So I would say yeah, for the most part. Should be able to have 97% success rate. Hey Lucas, do established crypts transplant to another tank okay? Any tips? Thanks. Ask Sunset Gin. They do. But the trick is not to like mess up their main roots too much, and their main roots will be really thick. But you can't transplant them without melting. Just don't let them get cold. That's the biggest trick with those crypts and why they'll melt. The Fluval stand's worth it. Hello, the Fluval stand's worth it, or do you know where in Canada can I get a good stand? I don't know about in Canada, but there are, I mean, honestly, I would just build my own stand. And I mean, since I know the skills and stuff to do it, it's a little different than like saying that to somebody if they don't know how to do it. But I would recommend of maybe trying to learn that, because skills pay the bills. And if you could teach yourself something like that, you will always have that to fall back on yourself with. And that goes so far. And there's so many YouTube videos out there that you can pretty much teach yourself how to do anything. If you got any kind of conceptual intellect on picking up things. Yes, Dane Hritz, you hit the nail on the head. I'd be afraid of traveling with all those cats of yours. Maybe try to sell those with the house too, haha. So that will be the trickiest part of the move, is actually, that's the part that we're kind of dreading the most, is trying to move the 4 cats down there with a 16-hour drive. Ugh, that's going to be the hardest part. Nuno Masa says, what do you think about Father Fish method with his whole ecosystem and all that stuff? That dude is spot on. Father Fish is the man. Now, I don't think you need all that sand. The sand helps, like it's definitely going to help with your deeper roots. We actually bonsai most of our plants as it is, which bonsai is just to grow plants in a shallow container. But yeah, he, as far as like his whole Mother Nature connection, he's got it going on for sure. And he doesn't try to overcomplicate things, because it doesn't really have to be overcomplicated. That's when problems start happening. And when I give my talks to clubs, like that's main thing. Main thing I talk about is just taking that human error out, which is overthinking. But all right. Unfortunately, it's already been an hour, but I'm gonna have to hop off here because I don't want to step on people's toes. But thank you all for joining tonight for this live stream. I know it kind of started off slow with me waking up and all, but thank you guys for waking me up, because now I can go around, feed the fish, and everybody will be happy. So thank you all for the support, for the super chats, watching, liking, subscribing. Seriously, without you guys, this stream would not even be happening. And I would not even be able to share this knowledge with you guys without you guys. So thank you, thank you, thank you for helping and helping spread the word of it all and everything else. So till next time, everybody, peace. Have a great one. Do 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 do. Yes, and have a great weekend.